Welcome, Internet, and welcome everybody else to the Just No BS podcast. And as always, I'm your boy John, back with the irregular crew of.
Dev and Gal.
And we never promised a weekly podcast, but hey, we're here.
That's true. Technically, that is
Yeah.
true. We never said
Yeah.
we.
You gotta read the fine print.
All jokes aside, life be lifing, shit be happening, work be whisking you away to other places. People be busy. It's all right. But, we're here to catch y'all up. And we have, honestly, the story of the last several weeks can all be kind of broken down into one thing. Y'all Negros tripping. But before we get to that, the initial plan for the month of May was to be Star Wars month because, May the 4th be with you. But you know what? We'll probably have to say that for next year. We'll be able to cook some spicy with that. So, for you guys, how's the last couple weeks been? Playing any new games? Do anything fun? What y'all do?
You go ahead, Cal.
Oh, um, a lot of traveling on my end. Um, like I said, I have not. I haven't played any new games. I've been procrastinating on playing Expedition 33 and Oblivion Remastered. Because I actually never played Oblivion. Like my first Elder Scrolls game was Skyrim. So like when I saw it back then, I was like, oh, I'm gonna get to that one day. And then Skyrim just kind of just had me in a chokehold for years and years and years, and I never went back. Um, so seeing the changes that they made, the updates to the graphics, everything else like that, um, yeah, I'll probably get on that probably sometime like next week, maybe mid June at the latest. Um, but other than that, man, yeah, life's pretty good. I can't complain.
Before I go into anything, how have you been liking Expedition 33?
No, I've been procrastinating. I haven't started
Hmm.
either one of those yet because
Okay.
I'm watching people play and I'm like, I need to play this game. But I know my addiction, Devin. I know I'm looking at it like this is gonna take like a good 8 hours out of me every day if I don't
Easy.
go in with like a tempered disposition. So I'm like, I'm gonna get to it. I'll get to it. But yeah, not yet.
I feel you. Because the moment I boot up Expedition 33 myself,
Hmm.
I know the wife's going to be like, well, throw the hands up.
Oh, what I will say, me and the wife have been slowly but surely punching through Split Fiction. Um,
Great
and
game.
I knew I was gonna like the game because I like the company, and they've done great couch co-ops. Period. But being the nerd that I am, like catching the different references that you kind of get when you go through it. It's like, oh yeah, this is like oh this is like Lord of the Rings inspired, or oh this is Fable. I'm sorry, I said Lord of the Rings. Fable. Like, oh, this is heavily favored, or where we kind of stopped last time was like, oh, this is Halo, or this is what was the one that came out for PlayStation the other year, where you play Space Marines,
Helldivers.
Helldivers. It's like, oh, this is Helldivers, and you kind of just pick it as you oh this is Tron, and the more you play, it's like wow, y'all really put a lot of effort into this. It's a pretty cool game. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's fun. Me and my wife enjoyed playing it too. She loves that. She loves those games. Ever since we played It Takes Two.
Yeah, I want to have my lady and I play No Way Out, but I know how it's gonna end, and I don't want to induce that type of stress onto her. So we shall see.
Fair enough. So yeah, guys. I've been thinking about streaming again. I'm probably
Oh,
gonna. Yeah, I picked up a stream deck on the cheap, so it's kind of got me messing around with it and like, you know what? I kind of want to get back to it. So I'm probably gonna start with South of Midnight. Um, I've been procrastinating on that. I've been meaning to play that for a minute now, but yeah, life be life in. So probably after my next work trip, I'm gonna probably have some time to sit down and play South of Midnight, kind of stream it some. So hopefully that should be fun. Well, not hopefully. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be fun, but I'm looking forward to playing it.
Fair.
Speaking of,
Um.
oh no, go ahead. Dad.
Oh. Oh, good.
Oh, I was
You're
gonna
gonna say
say,
something?
speaking of black girl greatness, you weirdos and other people out there, make sure y'all watch Ironheart. Don't let these jerks out here ruin what could be a very good thing.
Yeah, and essentially the next arc of a legacy character. Like I don't get why people are so hung up on that when like the face of the character changes or like it just goes through what it goes through in the comics. My first thing always when I see outrage like this is like, oh, y'all just aren't comic book fans for real, for real.
I
Like
mean,
you're
many of them
just
don't know what legacy characters mean.
yeah, like y'all are just fans of this particular iconography. That's it. Yeah, and it's kind of like
Hmm.
I don't feel bad for y'all. Like, because it's just like, oh, you're just stupid. That's all it is. It's not like, it's not rooted in anything because you
No, it's
can't
rooted
tell.
in.
Yes, it's not rooted in anything legitimate because we don't even know how the full story is going to progress off of the trailer. Um, like, yeah, like it's dumb. Just like these are the same people who were up in arms when the first few trailers of Sinners came out. And I remember seeing it last year, the first trailer and I forget what movie we were in. It was some movie, and it would look like a horror. It obviously looks like a horror movie. My wife does not like horror at all, whatsoever. And I
Mine
saw it, and
either.
I was like, I will see this without you. I need you. You have a year to like get that shit together because I am seeing this movie. Um, but and that was all for nothing because you guys couldn't grift off of it because it's an excellent fucking movie, and that man's going to win the awards for playing two characters essentially. He pulled
Hmm.
a Olsen, no, not Mary Kate and Ashley. He did that, and I'm gonna lie to my kids and say that that was two different people. Michael B. Jordan has a twin, and he was only in one movie. That's what I'm gonna tell my kids. I'm gonna perpetuate the lie, Bucko. But
Yeah.
You were thinking Lindsay Lohan, by the way, but yeah.
Lindsay Lohan, thank you. I said Mary Kate and Ashley. But shout out to the white girls from the early 2000s. Y'all did great by us. Y'all did great.
Wild. Ah, but yeah, no. Like, I just want people to get back to actually watching something before they make an actual judgment on it. What reviews are supposed to do. But hey, I'm
Yeah.
just, common sensing it. What am I? Common sense?
What
Whatever,
are
bro.
you doing there? Trying to make sense out of
Are
things.
you being rational, nigga? Like,
Speaking of rational, you want to know who isn't rational?
mm-mm.
Chris Brown.
I mean, but we knew this though. Like,
Yeah, but like this is a stupid level of irrational. Like there's a rational where it's like I kind of see what you were doing there. You just weren't using your brain. But this is like another level where like you clearly left the country after you got to an altercation.
mm,
You decided to set up a tour date in that country thinking you didn't have a charge on you. Come on, bruh. What?
crazy.
This,
Yeah.
we're talking about Great Britain. Outside of the U.S., these niggas are like number two in arrest and jail and all the shit that the U.S. is not good is well known for.
Okay. I mean,
So
it was a there was a meme going around years ago to where they said everybody who's in the entertainment field whose last name is Brown is unhinged. And I thought about it for a second and I was
You
like,
know,
holy shit.
damn,
Start flipping
wait a
through.
minute.
Like, is this a curse? Like, do y'all need to change? Because you got what, Chris Brown, Orlando Brown, James Brown, like all of these people were cutting up in their own way. Everybody wasn't doing the same thing. But yeah, no,
at
Chris
least it
Brown is
wasn't. At least it wasn't Clancy Brown.
Jesus Christ, Jacob. But Chris Brown has a history of violence, though. Period, point blank. Like people oftentimes like highlight the Rihanna incident, obviously, because that was very early in both of their careers. That both were like on the cusp of being like worldwide, world-renowned superstars, and that will they, won't they thing kind of took over. But it's like, bro, he has like sexual assault cases he had to fight over there in Europe. He had like outright violence cases. Um, he joined the Bloods when he was like 20 something. And there's been violence and shit like that since then as well. It's like got into what? He got into a bottle fight with Drake in the club, throwing bottles at each other. Like, leave that man alone. Leave that man alone.
What's crazy is what I find interesting, and I mean this in like the most morose way ever, is that there's more outrage over this situation than his career for like the last 20 years, especially after when you compare this to the Rihanna thing back then.
Mm,
Like the Rihanna thing, when some people were giving it a pass, it kind of makes sense because you don't have the pattern, you don't have the history of the behavior, you know?
right.
Like in some bizarre world, let's say he does that, some multiverse, different multiverse. He does that situation, but then never gets to another situation ever again. It's like, oh well, he was a young kid, he messed up, he did his thing, took it, and became better. But all we can say now is, nigga, you know how to dance and hit people, because that's clearly
Yeah.
you haven't learned a damn thing. So like,
Mhm.
this is why I always say I'm never going to try to shame someone on one singular incident.
Never.
But the pattern, once you show me, like I might even give you a chance after the second one. But once we hit 3+, that is you. You're showing us.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean the everybody has their line. My line typically is always with like when your shit starts to involve women and children. For me, that's a cold cut, respectfully, because that is a weird thing because you as a man are statistically speaking are inherently stronger than women and children. So it's
Mhm.
not just a situation as to where it was like there was an altercation, you probably took it too far or whatever the case may be. See, I don't mind like if a dude has a history of like fighting other guys or whatever the case may be. One of my favorite people who was close to my heart, I mourn him every other time I think about him, which was Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey was from, he was out there from Crenshaw, uh, a part of the Crips or whatever, but he was focused on his community. But Nipsey was always like, I am working on myself. Like, it took me years to get here and I'm still not finished. So people would try him like they would try celebrities, and Nipsey was slapping people who were playing with them. And he's a tall guy. Bro, he could have played small forward for somebody. And people be messing with him, and he open hand just slap a man. And if you know anything, a man slapping you is highly disrespectful because you're not even a threat enough to punch. I'm just gonna slap you, and what are you gonna do after that? But again, that's a different type of like, stop fucking with him. That's how I view it. He did that to another guy who was kind of, but it's like if we see you on camera hitting women or there any type of child, anything on children, anything, it's over for me. I don't need to see it twice. Like I don't need to see you pull a Ray Rice twice on two different women. Once is enough for me. You cold clock a woman as a grown man. No, we need to see you. That's just me.
Yeah, and I would agree there's context to a little bit of everything. Like, my whole thing is we as a society, we're gonna get into this a lot more throughout this episode, y'all. So just buckle in. We got a lot to discuss, but my thing is pattern of behavior provides the context of your personality. That's kind of the way I see it.
Mm.
One of my favorite examples is Michael Vick. He got in trouble for the dog fighting ring. He did his time. Have we heard anything about this nigga since?
No,
Exactly, because this man clearly learned his lesson. He don't want to go to jail again. He
nope.
ain't like, and I
He was
think
a
he,
model citizen after he came out. He was doing like youth programs and like advocacy, what is it, like advocacy
yeah,
panels and stuff like that. Like, we don't hear nothing about. I don't even know if he has a dog. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't
he
even.
probably. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like, nope, not no more, because I don't want any even perception of it. Like, nope.
Yeah.
So it's like it's the pattern of behavior that makes me go, okay, you know what? That he went through some young that was some YN shit. Like he was young, he was being an idiot, he got caught, he realized that was not cool, did his time, and that's that. Then there's like a medium example where I use someone like Will Smith. That man clearly had a breaking point, and unfortunately, Chris Rock was on the wrong end of it.
Mm.
But for some reason, people wanted to still use that against him, be like, hey, you slapped a man on stage, I can't fuck with you like that. But the vast majority don't seem to, because his pattern of behavior, for the most part, is more peaceful than that.
Mm.
Now, is it a good look? Hell no. But he also did I'm going to use the right thing in quotes because it's not 100% right, but it's more of the PC thing. He made his apologies. He kind of disappeared for a little bit. He had that one movie that flopped, but he's already in a contract, so he can't stop, making the movie. But like, um, and then he came back like a year or two later and just kind of moved on. And you can clearly see he's not trying to continue that behavior. Now, other things about him are, however you want to see it is the way you see it. But that's kind of like the medium grade. And then you've got the high grade. We're talking your Chris Browns, you know, and I'm not lumping them all in the same behavior, but they're repeated behavior. So like the Chris Browns, the Little Waynes, the Drakes, Burton Bands, the people that keep doing the same shit over and over. The Futures,
Yeah.
as we'll get into later, fucking what's his name? DDG, whatever his name is. Like people that just keep doing this repeated behavior and expecting to get more sympathy than they deserve.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your thoughts, Devin, on this whole Chris Brown being a retard? I mean, sorry, an idiot thing. I'm a '90s kid. That lingo sticks
It's
with me, and even though
Yeah, it's hard to get off. It's
yeah,
hard to get off.
being an idiot.
but yeah, no, you hit it right on the head there. Like, if they start showing a pattern, that's when you know, like, they're probably going to continue doing the same thing over and over. You used a perfect example of Michael Vick there. He did one wrong thing. Well, yes, it was but definitely a bad thing, but he paid his dues, and then he moved on with life. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to kind of learn from your mistakes and then move on. Chris Brown has yet to move on from any of his mistakes, and I don't think he ever will. At least not until something major happens where, it's going to have a life changing effect for him, sadly.
Indeed. And I want to say this one last thing before I forget it and we move on. I started watching this podcast by recommendation of a friend of mine called the Grits and Eggs podcast.
I've been hearing
Um,
about them too.
very, y'all should watch them. He's excellent. Him and his I wouldn't even say co-host because his man's is behind the camera and he'll like ad lib and they kind of just feed off of each other.
Right.
But he was saying something in regards to the Diddy trial, which we'll get to later, that stuck out with me. He said, "You guys are seeking equity and degeneracy if you're in support of Diddy, because you are essentially looking into it from the standpoint of the abuser. And you're not looking at this person as being someone terrible or engaging in terrible actions. You're looking at it from the standpoint, oftentimes, of if I had that type of power, influence, and money, I would probably be engaged in something like this too. So you're humanizing degeneracy, hoping that you will get there one day to use this, and you want him to be not judged so harshly because you probably don't want to be judged harshly for the type of things that you're into right now that you just don't have the means to execute." And I was like, that, that, because I have a strong suspicion that the same people who are supporting Diddy right now were in strong support of R. Kelly, were in strong support of a Tory Lanez, were in strong support of a Bill Cosby. And if you got outside of your algorithm, you got outside of black people, you were probably in strong support of Kevin Spacey. You tried to humanize the actions of an Epstein. You see what I'm saying? Like it gets there because it's like this is dangerous ideology that's out here. These are some of the most deplorable people that we've ever seen, and you're trying to come from the standpoint of, well, them bitches were asking for it. Ah, I know what you are. I know exactly what you are. we're gonna put you in the incinerator, Bucko. Like this is insane. But that's just me.
No, it's crazy because like I was listening to a different podcast that mentioned the Grits Neck podcast. It's called Waving the Red Flag. Um,
Yep, I followed him.
yeah, I was listening to one of their clips the other day, or it might have been today actually, and it was crazy because someone's like, they pretty much said the same thing. Where they're like, these guys that are quickly jumping on the bandwagon for essentially hating women, which is kind of why I keep saying y'all Negroes tripping, because you're essentially trying to co-sign things that you know you couldn't do without consequences,
Yeah.
which is crazy. It's crazy work that you're trying to essentially co-sign actions you wouldn't be able to do. But in a twisted way, it also takes it a step further because a lot of these people that make these statements are, like you said, blurring their own lives into it. But it also is like taking the example of one thing and trying to make it the reality for everything.
Mhm.
So a lot of these, I love the way they put it, where it's like you might have gotten screwed over by your baby mama, so you're trying to think everybody's baby mama is doing the same thing, and it's nasty. Like it's just nasty work, bro.
Agree.
So to add on to what Cal said there, uh, people tend to want to live vicariously through stars, through actors, performers, things of that nature. It starts to become a problem when you are actively trying to live your life through them, even through the negative things as well, instead of saying like, okay, there's a line. So when you hear a lot of those people who are like, "Oh, hey, they did nothing wrong or anything or they deserve it" and things of that nature, you're absolutely right. Like that's one of those you're waving a really big red flag at that point
Mhm.
because you're basically going and saying that if you were given the opportunity, the money, the power, the status and things of that nature, you would do the same thing. Is
Exactly.
what you're kind of giving off that message.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
and
although I do not seek to live my life through this individual, Thanos did nothing wrong.
Okay. Hey, here, wait a minute. I'm
That's
gonna have to agree. I have to agree,
thank you. Thank you.
but
All I'm saying.
but I agree with first Thanos. Not hey, we got another version of Thanos.
Yeah, no,
Who
no.
was just like that one was just
No.
crazy. The
And
first one, I was like, you know what? I see your point here.
yeah, and if he did it for a better reason than to get some dead pussy, that is not me. That is not me making that up. That is what happens
oh,
in the comics. He
comic
is
book
trying,
Thanos.
yes, he is trying to fuck on Lady Death, and he's like, you know what? You know what dead women like? Dead people. I'ma kill half the universe to get some pussy. And she still wasn't going. She was like, I fuck with Deadpool. I don't agree with that part of Thanos. That was wrong. But you just being like, you know what? I'm not gonna double your resources because you've shown your lack of character in managing the resources that you've already had. You're electing terrible people who are doing terrible things. You're spending ridiculous amounts of money. You're hurting people. What if
Of
we
real
just
life.
took, thank you. What if we just took half of y'all out? Last bar. Last bar. Light Yagami
Uh, Up to a certain point.
up until a certain point. Because I guarantee you, you give me that book, Devin, the story would have been over in a week. All I need is 35 names. The world as we know it is changed forever. For the better. For the better. That's all I'm saying. 35.
Amen. I still believe in absolute power corrupts absolutely. Can't do
I'm,
it.
you can corrupt something that I'm already radicalized, Shazo. It's not corrupting me. 35 names, Bucko.
That man said, I'm double corrupted.
And you know me, like I'll just go to the evil side right off the bat. Like, cool, give me a week. I'll put it back afterwards.
Mhm.
But that 1 week, it's on.
And people try to have a philosophical conversation where it's like, oh, if you use the death note, you can't go to heaven or hell. I'm doing this for y'all.
Take one for the team.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm doing this for y'all. Period. I'll chill out there. It looked a little boring at worst, but it ain't hell.
That man said,
Risk,
The point, yeah.
risk reward. Risk reward. That's all.
she can't hate you if you're perfect. Sell me. uh, but nah, like, I don't. This was kind of my thought for the episodes. We're kind of flipping the order a little bit, but yeah, my thought basically was, so many of these guys and just like ever growing hate of women for whatever reason. We're gonna talk about this more once we get into the main topics, but like, it's it's such disgusting to see such hatred towards people. It's just like, bro, what are we? First of all, what are we doing? Like, you came out of a woman. That is a biological fact. Like, y'all can't have a little more respect. Like, some of these men will be like, oh, yeah, she deserved it. But I'm like, but would your mom have deserved that? Like, these actions, these
Mhm.
guys are so quick to say or spit out or whatever. But if that were to happen to their mom or their sister, their aunt or whatever, they'd want to go fight somebody. It's
Right.
like, no. And I get it. Some people don't want to immediately believe victims or they want to see the process out, but there's a bigger nuance to that. And you know what? Let's go ahead and just jump to the topics because we kind of here now. We got here kind of quick. So we're just going to jump down to the first part of our three-body breakdown. Why are y'all people constantly defending abusers? Why do y'all always want women to be lying? Like, seriously. Like, and if y'all, for some reason, have been under a rock, in the phantom zone, another dimension, we're talking about, DDG and Halle Berry, and we're talking about the Diddy trial. Y'all, I don't, I, I don't have the words for how disgusted in the male species I can get right now, bro. Like, what? Scratch it. Not even the male species. Because I was listening to a podcast, and a woman who was breaking down the Diddy trial was like, "I'm getting more responses from women that are supporting this." So I'm just losing faith in all of y'all. So
As you should, because at the end of the day, statistically speaking, the majority of the people that attend Chris Brown's concerts and keep him in rotation are women.
Mm.
Statistically speaking, the people who were going to the most R. Kelly concerts and keeping him relevant were women.
I was just about to go and say R. Kelly was a key one there.
Abusers, sexual assaulters. You want to talk about what happened last year in what was coined the Shakespearean Shakedown? The majority of people that attended Drake concerts and kept him relevant were women. I am not saying that they're flawed or whatnot. I'm coming from the stamp. Well, we're all flawed. Let me not do that. That's disingenuous. I'm simply saying women oftentimes when it comes to abusers, abuse, and the triage of things that contribute to the facilitation of this on a grand scale are women essentially infantilizing these abusers. Like, oh, he came into money too early. Maybe he didn't really understand. Da, 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 da. Wait, hold on. What are we doing here?
it's been
Because you
20 years.
thank you. You support that?
Mm-hmm.
That's weird. I find that also weird where it's this the people who support abusers and things like that, I've already given my point of view on that part. But I do feel like it's the same thing when it comes to um, crystal fascists or crystal fascist enthusiasts or people who are proponents of the conservative party and things like that, trying to essentially emotionally connect and identify and compare themselves with billionaires and why they cry when CEOs die and shit like that. Even though statistically speaking, you will never be that big of a CEO. You are barred. There is a barrier of entry that you do not meet. a lot of these people who are these billionaires and whatever the case may be, a lot of them come from means, which means they're able to get access to different type of resources and things like that. The schools, the connections. I know people, you can't really quantify with the monetary value what connections can do for you, but you are barred access from that. Even being in a position to look and aspire to be that. You aspiring shows that you will never get there. When it's the same thing on the other side when it comes to women. Y'all hate women because they're denying access to you. When in true intellectual form, you would keep the same. You see what I'm saying? Like, oh, I am barred access. I should aspire to get there. I should aspire to be a person that a woman seeks out. Da 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 da. But for some reason, since y'all view women as like a moving target, it's easier to just be like, I don't like you. I despise you. Whoop de whoop. Hope the worst happens to you. Which is weird because that's a person, and what I talked about previously was an occupational station. Y'all niggas is weird. You have a limited worldview. You don't like yourself. You don't like women, but you want women for sexual gratification and the gratification of other men, which is weird because you're trying to get pussy to get approval from dicks. That's gay.
That was the most roundabout way, but I'm like,
But when
you're not wrong.
when you just walk this, just
When you walk the
the
logic
thought
down, yeah.
process back. Like, don't confuse in the no. These niggas want women for niggas to say you're that nigga. That's gay. That's gay. It is. Especially when the people at the forefront of this movement, this piss pill movement, as I so eloquently call it and articulate it, pop my collar on that one, y'all the piss pillars, respectfully. A lot of them have weird bisexual shit on them as well. You have one of the people who are at the forefront moving for trying to convert the younger generations into Christo fascism, conservatism, in Sneeko, come out and sit down with Kanye West and they have a conversation. They have a bonding moment about being cucks. That's gay. That's gay, my boy.
Well, technically, it's not necessarily gay. I want to make a quick moment here that, as a reminder, we at the Just No BS podcast do not hate on any sexual affiliation. You just have to admit it and stop trying to hate on it.
Thank you. I just like to put a label on it. In the words of Ray J, shout out to all my gay niggas.
I can't with you.
Shout out to my lesbian women. Shout out to the asexual individuals, he, him, she, her, they, them. I'm not too good with the other one with the X. That's me being ignorant, I'll be honest. I love all people. Do your thing. Just be honest with it. Don't be weird. A lot of you motherfuckers is weird, bro. It doesn't come down to a sexual orientation thing or an identity thing. A lot of y'all are weird and or self-hating, and you're projecting your self-hate onto other people, feeling like since I hate myself for who I truly am, I hate you for being confident in who you truly are. That's weird.
And that's
weird.
a perfect segue to talk about the first part of this. So while we were gone, Tory Lanez got shanked in prison a bunch of times.
Oh.
I'm not going to applaud
You're on that way too quick.
He was too quick on that one, but
Oh, we were clapping. My bad.
the part of that is I can't. The part of that is relevant to this conversation is the fact that there was a conspiracy theory going around that Meg Thee Stallion had that man got in prison. I can't confirm or deny that. I'm just going to say that it's probably highly unlikely because she don't give two shits about that man. She living her best life, dropping music videos and getting ready to be at BlurredCon. She's going to perform a freaking BlurredCon. Like, I'm pretty sure she's okay. She don't really give a damn. So it's like, y'all really hate Meg that much that y'all are prepared to say that she, had this man shanked in prison, it's more likely that man tried to fight a battle he couldn't win.
I looked it up, Jazo. I know the real story of what happened because I was curious because I saw that theory. I saw the theory of people saying Kendrick had something to do with it because he was saying something about Kendrick, like, oh yeah, I'm not Drake, blah, blah, blah. Like he recorded from prison before they took his equipment. And then I also saw like, oh yeah, Jay-Z's a part of this because Rock Nation has their. It's not that. Literally, what happened? This is from interviews and firsthand eyewitnesses. Tory was in there. They were having like in the visitation area, and there was a dude who was in there whose wife came to see him. And for some reason, like I think the guy had to go back to his cell, so his wife was kind of like there getting ready to leave. And Tori saw her, and then when she was sitting there initially waiting for her man, looked at her, eyed her up and down, said something slick, sat down, did what he needed to do. When old boy had to go back to his cell, he said something and then tried to like push up on her. She told her man's inside, and her man's was like, bet. And that's what happened. This is as a result of your own hubris and folly, yet again, because this is a pattern at this point. We've seen he could have beat all this shit if he would have shut the fuck up. Meg said, "Oh, I stepped on some glass." He came out saying different things, trolling on the internet, doing music videos. She was like, "Tory didn't do anything," blah, blah, blah. She was covered for him. He came out doing a video, throwing some jabs to her in the song while cutting up a horse leg. Her name's Megan Thee Stallion. You get the insinuation. That's how it is in hip hop. Blah, blah, blah. He kept on, keeping on, keeping on, keeping on, keeping on. And boom. And then you're inside. You're supposed to be learning your lesson and becoming a refined individual in society. And you still keep on keeping on. And somebody kept on stabbing your bitch ass. I don't understand where the loss of karma is at this.
He came back around double time.
Y equals MX plus B, nigga. I don't know what to tell you.
See, kids used to go and ask, when are we ever going to use this? Right here, this moment.
Yeah, it's the line. Y equals MX plus B is the fuck around and find out line. It is literally the line.
We did it, boys.
You got my thing.
We covered that whole line right there.
Oh, man. Oh, but yeah, no, it's facts. And, like, again, thanks for the background, the information. I didn't really care because I don't care about Tory Lanez like that, but it's just another thing about this self... My wife just messaged me. But, no, it's literally the way it is, because these people, they get this ego, and people tend to forget that even people who are in entertainment like Tory Lanez that get these millions of dollars, unfortunately, you are on the same line with us. You are more likely to be homeless the next day to ever become a billionaire and have real power like a Jay-Z or someone like that. Like, you're closer to us than you are to them. So act appropriately and learn your damn lesson. Like, and I'm not trying to be out here like, oh, we have to conform or whatever. But like, this is what I mean by you didn't learn your lesson. Because one, as people who don't know how the law works, let me let you in on a little secret. Keep coming. You listening? Meg did not hit him with a charge. That was the U.S. government. She did not even hit him with a civil suit. That was the U.S. government. When you go to jail or prison, that's the government. The government was like, oh, we got a case. Send his ass to jail. We're going to charge him. Meg didn't go up to them and be like, oh, blah, 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 charge him. No. The government was like, this is what happened. We got the evidence. We got the eyewitnesses. We got the testimony. Book them. So once again, for you idiots in the back, and this also goes for the Halle Bailey situation and the Diddy situation, that is the U.S. motherfucking government. So, that being said, let's kind of transition to DDG and Halle Bailey a little bit here. One, as people like to think they know stuff, technically speaking, he has not been charged with anything yet. All she did was get a restraining order. And if you know anything about the law, a restraining order is very easy to get because the government would rather err on the side of caution because the government does not like to get sued. So if you go to a judge with proof, even very simple proof of, hey, look, I've been to the hospital several times. Here's my bruises. This person hit me, this, that, and the third. They're going to be like, bet, restraining order. Here's the hearing so that we can figure out what the hell actually happened. But in the meantime, you stay away from this person so we can figure the shit out. That is fundamentally how it works.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's probably how it should work. Because no, we would rather people be like, all right, we're going to split y'all up so that y'all don't fight, so that one person doesn't get unalived for whatever reason. And then we have to come back around and hit you with murder charges. When we can just hit y'all with one of these, split y'all up, and then be like, oh, on June 4th, bring y'all lawyers, come back, we're going to figure this out, and then we'll go from there.
And honestly, if you did nothing wrong, then it'll be easy for your lawyer to then go ahead and explain the situation and you get it all sorted out.
And bring your own proof.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, one, y'all niggas don't know how the law works, and two, y'all are so quick to believe the guy when, no offense, but the evidence she's got her receipts on deck. She's one of those new age millennials or Gen Zers. Like, she got all of her receipts in a row, and it ain't looking good for this brother. Like, she got the pictures of all the bruise marks. She's got all the threatening notes. She's got all the video. Like, this man was clearly acting a fool. Like, I don't. what more do y'all need? Oh,
They need, I'll be honest, they need, we're
therapy.
talking about,
Sorry.
no,
Love those videos.
they need to come, yeah, so therapy would help, but they need to come to grips with the fact that they're shit people. Because at the end of the day, we see it oftentimes like people do not care about women in general, but there's a certain, like across ethnicities, across the board, don't care about women, period. Um, but these are the individuals that need a dead body before they start to look at anything. So they need the woman who's like, oh, I'm being abused or whatever. They need her dead first. And then, even then, they need enough evidence, like circumstantial evidence, to put the person at the scene of the crime to show that they did it. And even then, that won't convince all of them. This is why it's like, I don't, I stand by the belief of, I do not argue my humanity to racists. Period. Just like I wouldn't expect women to argue their humanity to misogynists whatsoever. It's the same thing. And oftentimes that shit can turn into a Venn diagram as to where if you're a black woman who's going through something, your experience is not viewed as pertinent, important, time sensitive, whatever the case may be, until you're dead. And then even at that point, when you can't speak for yourself, they get the chance to write the narrative, which is dangerous. It's dangerous as hell because this is exactly what they did to us as a whole. So now you literally have the system working for itself via you dumb fucks.
One of the phrases I hate the most when these things come up, and there's context to it. In everyday life, this phrase usually isn't so bad, but in these particular situations, I always hate with when the first thing out of a nigga's mouth is, "I wonder what she did."
The fact that you assume that she did something, tells a lot.
Exactly.
You're a weirdo. You're a weirdo.
And
Now,
in some situations, on its own, the phrase isn't necessarily so bad. But I usually hate if it's the first thing out your freaking mouth. Majority of the time, I ain't fucking with it. I'm just like, it don't matter. Would you want that to be your mama? Like, Because it'd be you same people that if, I don't know, let's say you had a stepdad and he was doing this kind of BS, you'd be wanting to fight him. But
Mhm.
if you agree with it, why are you trying to fight him? Like, no,
Yeah,
it don't matter.
yeah, I'm not gonna be the person who acts like the information authority on like DDG and Miss Bailey and everything else like that whatsoever.
Oh,
That's outside of my
trust me,
jurisdiction.
I didn't know who this man was until they had a kid. I didn't know who, I didn't even know that Halle Bailey was seeing someone until she popped up pregnant one day, and I was like, "Who this nigga?" Like, I was straight. I was like, "Who is this?"
Yeah, and I'm not mad. I'm not mad at people getting it how they need to get it because there was a time in the early 2000s all the way into the 2010s as to where individuals did not view streamers, people who are online and things like that as legitimate like
Sources.
news personalities or whatever the case that may be. And now all you failed career ass niggas have a fucking podcast. All of you rapper niggas who couldn't go platinum 3 times in 4 years. Why are you out here with the common folk? Go back to what you were success. Oh, you weren't successful at that. Ooh.
Hmm. Taking
So
shots at Joe Budden. I see you.
You weren't successful at good brand deals to have residual income that could pay you. Oh, you didn't have good negotiations. You didn't have soft skill bit like soft business skills when it came to showing up on time, being sober, being personable. Oh,
Not hitting women.
mm, got you. So this is where my line kind of gets drawn because on the music side, I will be the person up here. He's unimpressive as fuck. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Damn,
You're unimpressive.
bro.
There's a nigga in his mom's garage somewhere
No,
that's doing what you're doing.
bro. Hold on. Before you continue, I always find it worse to be like you are average rather than you're trash.
Yeah, like just middle of the road. You get lost out here, brother. It is what it
It's
is.
almost better to be trash. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
at least you're distinguishable. Like, like Miles is terrible, but he's distinguishable because of how terrible he is. JJ Icefish was terrible, but he was distinguishable. It was
oh,
memorable. You're just a light skinned nigga with nothing to offer.
you
In
perfectly average ass bitch.
and this is what I'm saying. It's like there are so many talented people who do not have the means, but are still masters of their craft. Period. They just don't have the means and they can't break through. You have all of the means in the fucking world.
And all the clout since you're dating Haley
And
Bailey.
yet and still, when people talk about you, they say you're a streamer. You performed at one of them, not Rolling Loud. I think it was
Coachella?
Rolling. I think it was Rolling Loud.
You would know better than me.
It was one of those desert concert joints where they put multiple niggas on stage, keep you out there because you're off ayahuasca. You need to come down.
Yeah, all I
Um,
know is Coachella and Rolling Loud. If it
yeah,
ain't one of
maybe
them two,
Coachella. Maybe Coachella. They put you out there, and niggas still don't refer to you as a fucking rapper. They talk about you like streamer, DVG, domestic violence nigga, against the Disney burgeoning superstar who played the little fucking mermaid, who was found by Beyonce. This is what they think about you. Who am I to change that? I think the same thing. You ain't Kai Cenat, nigga. Even though I disagree with him entirely, I can do a whole deep dive into like shout out to my black people everywhere across the uh, diaspora. But there is something different as to where we need to embrace and love on our Caribbean brothers and sisters and make sure that they have the correct takes. Because if they don't and they get money, power, and influence, they will oftentimes dive into white ideology, subconsciously, not knowing it, and put out some coon ass fucking takes and embarrass where they're from. That's what I'm a supporter of. So Kai has done that. You're not iShow Speed. You're none of these big name niggas. Even when Soul Illuminati was popping like that, you aren't that now. What he was. Low tier God he's a fucking coon. He's a low cow and everything else like that now. But back when he was that, he was that. You aren't that. You're around here embarrassing yourself. You're in the same tier as like a Black Boy Max and everything else like that. And for rapper translation, when you look at them going over to that, you're obviously not a Kendrick Drake. I put J. Cole under those two convincingly. Wale's kind of around there. You're not that. You're below the understudy of Chance the Rapper.
Not his
Not
understudy.
the-
Oh my god.
I don't know what to tell you. Just be a good person. People give grace to good people.
Again, like,
Rich people can afford grace by the legal system. You can't afford grace. You're not that rich, bitch. Be nice.
again, before I let you go, Devin, like, I just have to face palm because, like, the ego is not. Cal just said it. Black people can't afford ego. Like, what are you doing? And you weirdos, what are y'all doing? We can't afford ego. So why do y'all lead with it? Like, it'd be one thing if he, like, literally, instead of doing all that extra, because apparently, like, after the restraining order, he started doing extra weird shit, like trying to show up at the house unannounced and all this other stuff, which is why she got the restraining order and, like, all other nonsense. And it's just like, how about, you man up and learn from something? Like, you know what? I lost. You could have easily been like, look, I lost my temper. I shouldn't have done that. Here are the steps I'm taking, to rectify that. I didn't mean it. I want to be around for my kid. Because if I were to take the comments these weirdos like to leave on the internet talking about he's got to be there for his kid, you need a black family in the home, some Dr. Umar shit, if he really meant it, then you would just man up to your mistake and be like, look, I fucked up, I shouldn't have done that, I'm gonna go to therapy, I'm gonna do this, that, and the third, I'll do my time, and I want to prove to whoever, the court, Haley, etc., that I want to be here for my kid. So here are the steps I'm gonna do. I gotta man up. That's being a fucking man. So I don't fuck with it. So,
But see, that's not going to keep attention on him, though. And that's what I feel is what he's trying to go and do. Because if he wasn't able to go and make it, making music there, as you said, like, you hit perfectly average with your best work and everything. Congratulations. If that's all you could do, then that just sucks. But, now that he's streaming and everything, a lot of streamers, not all, matter of fact, most streamers tend not to go this route, but some do, where they have to go and get some type of negative publicity or something that gets people attention, regardless of what it is.
it
And I
gets the
feel
people
like
going.
that's their thought process. So if situations like this happen, then all that's doing is just giving him the attention that he wants. It's giving him that little bit of uh, limelight that he was looking for when he was performing that he didn't get before. That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna step away for a second, Jazo. You know the first thing that the feds look into when they're trying to do a RICO case or any type of case, because the feds have like a 90 something percent conviction rate. Attention. How much attention do you garner doing these illicit activities? Then they look at the money.
Mm-hmm.
And then they let your pattern of behavior speak for itself.
Exactly. You dumb fucks who got birthed in a dump truck don't know that. And you still look at this shit like it's currency. It's not currency. It's only currency to the white boys who are able to observe you from afar and appreciate your degeneracy from afar.
And watch you destroy yourselves.
Exactly. Watch you destroy yourselves. They already have this this inherent racist belief down even to your medical situation, which is what was it called, phrenology and things like that. That whole narrative that Leo did in Django, where he was talking about the dents in the skull and Africans are inherently dumber than da 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 da. And you fucking case monkeys, you case study monkeys keep proving their theory right. It's not correct. It was one of the fewest short-lived sciences in modern history. Do you understand how insane that is? That so many people got together and lied and bullshitted their way through something, and then people came back within the same block of time, within the same 100 years, and was like, this is very racist. Inherently, which skews your interpretation of science. And it's inherently wrong because when peep this, blase, blah, boop, de boop, that's wrong. So you're out here just embarrassing yourself. That's all.
And the funny thing about that is one of the points it was in Django Unchained. One of the points that like people, his name is Candy in the movie, that
Thank
you know, like to point to is something some people like Alexander Dumas, and it's just like, one, he was black, right? Like he's one of the Three Musketeers. Like he wrote that shit. Like it's a black
you.
man. He was black. Hell, your grandpappy who survived his heart attack and probably needed a triple bypass. Part of the technology was made by a black man. So like, yeah, the reason why you ain't crashing your cars every other Tuesday is because we got street lights made by a black man. Like, do I need to go on and on? Like, like
Even down to the recreational devices, like when it's summertime and it's hot, we're in the South, like super soakers and stuff like that are a thing.
and Nerf guns.
It's a black guy. Like, I think
Video
it's
games, which we all know and love, the
yeah,
cartridge was created by a black
that
guy.
black
The
guy.
reason why y'all have home consoles is because of a black guy. Again, let's keep them running. Like,
Yep, shout out, Thought Crimes for coining the term for me, low racial self-esteem. You hate yourself because you don't know yourself.
and again, like, you were brought into this world by women. I can't understand how y'all hate women as much. Like, again, healthy skepticism on situations isn't necessarily a bad thing. But like, you have to at least know a little bit about the situation or have an idea of what's actually going on. Just jumping to the, oh, she tripping or she did something right, she trying to take away his kids, when there's got to be an inciting incident to go get a freaking protection order. Like, you can't just walk up to a judge like, I need a protection order. Why? Because I need one. No,
Yeah, you have to have evidence.
you gotta have evidence, proof, little something to back yourself up with. And even then, it's not a protection order does not guarantee, like, it's not part of a case. Like, you can get a protection order, and more likely than not, they're gonna be like, all right, here's such and such date. You bring your lawyer, they're gonna bring their lawyer, we're gonna sort this out, and then we'll go from there. So as far as DDG and Halle Bailey are concerned, nothing has officially happened yet. There has not been a case. He's not in jail. Like, y'all need to chill the fuck out. He's out here. They're literally just trying to protect a woman who's been clearly getting beat by a guy who doesn't. As crude as it sounds, because, it is what it is. But these are the type of people that should have just gotten swallowed instead of made into this world. I'm sorry. Any final thoughts, Devin?
No, honestly, with that last line right there, you took the words out of my mouth there.
Yeah, yeah. So, with this, we will transition to the worser of the situations over the
The
last couple of weeks.
worst.
Uh, so it's been what, 7 days of the Diddy trial, give or take, I think, at this point now.
Yep.
First thoughts, initial impressions.
Honestly, I can't even say that I'm surprised. Like, I'm used to when, like, the R. Kelly case was happening. and it was just one thing after another that, when it came to evidence. With P. Diddy, like, there were a lot of situations where everyone kind of looked at him sideways already. So when a lot of this information was starting to come out, it was just like, is this really surprising at this point? It's just now being put out in the open.
And with every person that takes the stand, this more and more stuff are just starting to interconnect and be weird all at the same time. Because
Hmm.
Cassie went first. She was on the stand for what, essentially 2 days, and the
Take that.
oh my, stop.
Oh my god.
My brain just
I'm sorry. It
my,
was
my brain broke there, but like every but like everything that comes out is worse. And then what was it, the chick from Dandy Kane had to take the stand at one point,
yeah, like
and it's
Dawn.
just. And the thing is, I'm pretty sure part of the situation that she was talking about was on one of the seasons of Making the Band, but in a different. So it's like everything you did that we saw pieces of, we're just getting more and more context and more evidence, and it just proves that all these people defending him, y'all just hate women.
I'm a Jayzo. You're okay.
Go, just go, just go.
Yeah, I'm going to be very honest. I'm talking specifically to black men at this point. Y'all are extremely fucking predictable. The FBI doesn't even need their best and brightest to show up anymore. They can send interns because the system is working through y'all. Because every single time some weirdo gets convicted or gets put on trial for something like this,
He
y'all
was
don't give
gonna
a
buy
fuck.
NBC.
He was going to do something great. Y'all don't give a fuck about the women. Y'all only care about gay shit. That's it.
He was gonna
Once,
buy MTV.
once something gay happens, that's when it's like, oh man, lock him up. What you mean, lock him up? He was wild for the first stuff that you heard. But since it's a woman, you inherently are just like, oh, women lie. You can't trust the word of women. Da 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 da. Y'all don't even realize what the record industry looked like initially. From the record industry's inception, it was controlled by the mafia, period, point blank. That's history. You can go back and look it up. These were the people who had the money, the resources, and the backing to make sure that their people could not only tour, but they could make sure that they were profiting through things like payola, exploiting DJs and things like that in the local area, all of that. So it's built into the DNA of the industry in and of itself, which means the people who are the prime players of it are the gatekeepers of it, which means you will not get that internship with this higher level record exec, blah, 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 unless you're comfortable with at least observing and running defense for some debaucherous shit. And then more times than not, after going through that grooming process, and not grooming sexually in this regard, grooming for the position, you have been desensitized to disgusting, incredulous behavior. So more times than not, your bar and your metric of comfortability, what's right, what's wrong, what's permissible, has been blurred for those years. So you're going to get up there and do the same thing that you saw somebody else do. With that being said, the prosecution has proven their case already. I want y'all to know this. This nigga is cooked. When I say cooked, I mean like when your woman wants to surprise you with a dinner recipe that she found on Pinterest and she's been planning on doing it for 3 days, and you come home and the meat is coming out the oven. No, 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 no. The recipe is already locked in. The rice, the vegetables, the da-da-da. Pause. The meat was the last thing needed. That sounds crazy when we're talking about Diddy. This nigga, this nigga was out here asking niggas to nut inside of her so she nut inside of her and on her and then bring her to the room so he could have it poured onto his chest and nipples so he could rub it on himself.
You didn't hear about that, Devin? It came out in the
I didn't hear
trial.
about that part. No, I
Yeah.
didn't hear about that one.
So-
What the fuck?
If I recall correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, Cal, but
No, I looked into this because I wanted to make sure I wasn't lying on anybody. The
yeah.
truth is enough.
So on the trial stand, there was a male stripper who participated in a lot of these freak offs, and he testified about what Cal just said would be part of what happened, and then part of Cassie's testimony would also kind of say stuff like that too. So that's why I keep saying, the more this trial goes on, the more crap we hear, the worse it just gets. Like, and before Cal continues, because Devin's brain's broken, I have to bring this back to a sense of y'all niggas need I don't know, Jesus, higher power, something. For anybody that does not,
you need it.
yeah, pretty much. For anybody that doesn't know what the fuck consent means, it doesn't matter that Cassie might have agreed to be a part of it at one point. The moment, at any moment, she says no, you lose consent.
It's
So,
over.
yeah. So, to anybody with an actual brain, if you're having any kind of sexual relations with someone and they say no at any point in time, wrap it up. Deal with your blue balls another way, because no is no. Because that's it. It doesn't matter that they initially said yes. And I'm not even making this a whole he-she thing. You can be gay, and if the other partner says no, that's it. It's done. Go find a sock. Like, you're done. Because that is what it means to consent at any point. So yeah, people are trying to do this turnaround thing where they're like, oh, okay. And that's kind of like the defense is kind of what they're trying to do right now. The whole thing they're trying to do is kind of muddy the case with the whole like, oh, these people agreed to it, this, that, and the third. It's not trafficking if they wanted to. They're trying to muddy the waters a bit. But at the end of the day, by having their defense this way, he basically admitted to all this stuff that happened. So it's
over with.
It better be. Like,
because intimidation is the I in Rico, if I remember correctly. So if he's beating the shit out of you, beating the shit out of people who try and fuck with you, blowing up niggas' cars,
which everyone agreed that he did,
that's intimidation. Period, point blank. Like, so this is why I'm like, no, y'all are fucking dumb. And this is the George Bush, you will pay for your crimes, bro. The No Child Left Behind, it was a gaggle, a cacophony of niggas left behind.
Not a cacophony. I'm done.
And we have just matriculated them into society to make decisions. So much so, there was a video that was going around off of, I forget the no good naked face fuck that's on Fox, who was sitting across from Gates, the individual in politics. I don't need this clip came across my desk, and the individual who was working for Fox was like, oh yeah, so this person did XYZ with a 17-year-old girl, and Gates was like, a 17-year-old woman, and stood there like this and looked like, bitch, are you dumb? 17 not poonteen, not guillotine, teen.
You went to two French words. I can't. Not quarantine.
Teen-year-old woman. We could leave the number off of it. Teen-year-old woman. That's not how words work, my nigga. That's not how sentences work. That should not be how your morality works. But what else?
That's not how the law works.
That's what I'm saying.
In most states. Hold on. In most states, because we still have backwater. We still got backwater states like Alabama. But continue.
In most states. My bad. I forgot that
Alabama,
the age
Georgia,
of consent and everything else like that kind of varies in the South. Blah blah blah. That's why we can get songs about Kanye sucking his cousin's dick. Anyway.
Hey yo.
Hey.
Anyway, this is wild. like I need people to understand, like, the first few days of this trial
Have been
have
crazy.
done like, bro, this
That man
damage,
cooked.
it's over with. It's over with. And on top of that, they got this what is she, like 8.5 months pregnant woman up there recounting what you did. Period. I don't know if y'all give a fuck about women. Respect, not you, Jason and Devin, but like a woman at a certain point in her birth
Pregnancy.
cycle and everything else like that, like baby brain starts to like kick in to where it's like a little bit unstable, a little bit more emotional. That's science, that's chemistry, blah blah blah. But you feeling the need to interview this woman for like the better part of 3 days almost is insane.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane. Meanwhile, her husband's in there as well. And her husband is having to listen to how you violated his wife and tried to break his wife. Period, point blank. By the way, Diddy, Diddy's mom, you're a fucking mud ass bitch. You're disgusting. We saw you. We know your history as well. You goofy gutter snipe ass motherfucker. Excuse me, these are my words, not their words. These are kind gentlemen. I am not that. You are a worthless, infinitesimal, forgettable speck of cum on a bed sheet that for some reason has manipulated, mutated, and grown into a human being that we're supposed to respect the sentience of. When you lack basic moral fortitude, you're disgusting. I hope you get exactly the life you deserve.
And the worst part is, this goes back to something Devin said earlier, where sometimes it'd even be the women. And it's like, what are y'all doing? Like, what is
My bad.
wrong with y'all?
I don't like that shit, bro. I don't like that shit. Because at the end of the day, there was a guy, this is my last bar, and I'm gonna pass it off. I'm done. Because my thing is, there have been a few things that have been like Rorschach tests in regards to morality, critical thinking, and behavioral observation within the US within the past year. The election was one of them. The Kendrick and Drake beef was another one of them. How people feel about sinners was another one. These high profile cases will always be one of those as well. Um, and not if, when a motherfucker underperforms in these, we need you somewhere away from us. For instance, this thing where it's like, oh well, she was trying to do this for like career success. This woman put out one album and he blocked all of them after he signed her. After he signed her, I'm gonna say this twice, to a 10 album deal. A 10 album deal. Jezo, does your favorite artist of all time have 10 albums?
No.
Devin, does your favorite artist of all time have 10 albums?
Not that I can think of, no.
Bro, this is staggered like slavery. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're essentially just binding someone. This is insane. I find this disgusting, bro. I can't hold you. Um, I knew that nigga was guilty because I'm a hip hop fan. So I've been watching it for years. There were oftentimes talks about like, oh, did he possibly like getting rid of Big and Big's mom not being at any of these trials because in the 90s when Big got killed, she was like, Diddy was behind it. He played some part of it. That's what Biggie's mom said in the 90s. She despises this man. People were oftentimes talking about, oh, Diddy had a part in Tupac passing away. Blah, 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 whoop de whoop, try to pay niggas off in California, blah, blah, blah. Nobody rocks with this man. Period, point blank. I find it tough for me to not argue with stupid niggas, partially because I know stupid niggas cannot understand what it is they're interpreting, but because I know the worst people among us reproduce the fastest. That's my hypothesis. I've only been proven right for the better part of 15 years. And I see these terrible niggas with children. That's the only people I care for because they didn't ask to fucking be here. And if
Facts.
you niggas is justifying rape over here with Diddy when it comes to like a young girl trying to get further in the community or in the music industry, and you tried to justify rape over here where it comes to R. Kelly, where it's like their parents literally offering them up to be sex slaves as well. Thought I forgot, you stupid ass white people, or they're offering up your kids to be sexually assaulted by Elvis as well over in Graceland. I remember all of this. It's so hard to communicate why these people are wrong. I just want something fitting to happen to you. You're dangerous. And I don't want my kids around you. But alas, here we are. I'm done. I've had my
He
I've had
ranted
my
on us. Take it away, Devin.
I mean, think about the last part that you brought up there, where it's like there's this pattern of people putting other people into situations and everything to try to, eh, quote unquote, better their future. Like putting kids up and everything with all these stars and so on and so forth. That's been a thing in history since like royalty and things of that nature. When you are at the level of being like essentially a peasant, and all of a sudden there is some lord that's in your town and everything, you're like, oh, hey, the only thing that I feel that I can possibly do to give my child a better life or our family a better life is to offer up my child for, either being a consort and everything or a soldier. Then they just did that.
mm,
All they're doing is just taking that same concept and bringing that into modern times. But we have a better idea of things like consent and things of that nature. We have better morals. So while I don't want to go and say, oh, hey, the things that they were doing back then, were wrong and despicable, because we can't necessarily judge the past by our current morals, we can judge the people by our current morals now.
Yeah, and what?
we differ there. James, give me a second. Let me talk to Devin for a second. We differ
Okay.
there. I fully
Okay.
disagree with you.
Mm.
Because as time has showed us, as time goes on and more studies are conducted and things like that, we learn more. Correct? We learned a little bit better. As to where you
Mhm.
had the individuals who were talking about the draining, the draining of certain fluids from the area that affected you. I forget what
Mhm.
that actual
The
study
four
was called.
bios,
Thank you.
the
Mhm.
European, the European thing of
We
medicine.
look back on it now, it's like, y'all were fucking stupid. Somebody has a headache, you're finna drain cerebral fluid from them? You're a dummy. you you can't even like facilitate the proper healing for this at the time without like a
Mhm.
possible infection happening, blah blah blah, ooh doo, right? We
Mhm.
had a worldview for the better part, even if we want to just exclusively put it towards the part of Europe that eventually went on to occupy here and things like that. Um,
Mhm.
so you would have like the Catholic Church with the geocentric model and things like that. To where it's like
Mhm.
as time goes on, you learn more and you adjust to it.
Mhm.
So if everything, when it comes down to medicine, when it comes to history, when it comes to the soft sciences as well, um, to where it's like black people are inherently violent and blah 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 whoop de whoop, and you do more studies on that. It's like, oh no, not necessarily. The study that you took were from people from like extremely poor areas and concentrated poor areas. And crime is oftentimes as a result of poverty. So these
Mhm.
people weren't inherently more violent. They were victims of a circumstance that was out of their control. thus they exhibited violence because that was how they established authority and that's how they got their means to provide for their that. So it's like, no, I hear what you're saying. Trust me, I do. I grew up in the church and I was looking at things so it was like, oh yeah, like how old was the Virgin Mary when God fucked her? Because that's no, no, Jazo. I'm sorry. Like, how old was this bird?
So it's a little that's a little twist and not fair because it's not like he sent an angel down and they had sex. It was just more like magic. You're pregnant now. That's
Oh,
so
you
it's a little different, but
oh.
continue.
So you use your finger, not your fingers. That sounds crazy. You used
I was
your
going to say pause right there.
thank you. You use your mind to impregnate a child who, by all accounts, in the area of how they determine age and recount this error, was a fucking child. This was a child. Because even in uh, Judaism, like customs and things like that, they viewed girls, women differently. So there was a certain age gap that there was there. So she could have been anywhere from 12 to 17.
So, and
Yeah.
this is where I got to stop you to add a little bit of context because this is now to our modern standards correct. That's a no go. That no. However, we always have to remind people of this context because we're talking about generations ago, generations ago. For
Absolutely.
most cultures across the globe, I don't care, Japanese, Chinese, Israel, doesn't matter. When we're talking before modern era, your average age was like 30. So by 15, you in most cultures you were considered a fully grown adult. So that is where the context comes into play. Now this is where I think you both are right, but for two different reasons. Yes, we learn and we grow, and I think if you're a Christian or Baptist or whatever, if you follow any kind of religion based on Jesus Christ, the concept of God and the Bible creation is that we as a species essentially should be growing with our own morality to kind of keep it simple. So we're, in the year 2025 now, we should have a different moral compass than, good old 1500s. Right or wrong isn't my point here. My point here is just context. So,
That's fair.
When your average age is like 30, 35, you've lived a third of your life by the time you hit 15. That's being generous. So,
And to add to that point, we also have to look at necessity. Because if you're living during a time where, hey, the
Scarcity.
oldest you're getting is maybe 30,
Yeah.
a lot of people aren't even making it out of child birth and everything. Just to perpetuate humanity as a whole, you kind of have to do what you have to, which nowadays we don't have to do that. So that's one of the many reasons why we see it as unnecessary and then eventually getting to it's hey, it's wrong. But at the time, they wouldn't have necessarily seen it as wrong or even unnecessary because it was absolutely necessary to keep people alive.
Yeah, but
yeah.
I agree with where Jason was tying it because that wasn't what was happening as far as the life expectancy over in the Middle East and in Africa at the time.
Yeah. It,
So these
it,
aren't
it,
people dying off at 30. These are people living to like 75, pushing 80 sometimes.
yeah.
So it's like, oh no, you're just an old freakazoid who wants to fuck on little girls and you want to groom your wife because that was also part of that. That's where like we look at patriarchy is kind of filtered now,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't like now it's not a government like a law installed thing because back then it was like marriage was the exchange between a daughter and a wealthy enough man to do that and he could like trade that shit off and be like, oh yeah, I want your 12-year-old daughter. I have 3 cows, 2 chickens, a goat who's pregnant. And that's what your daughter went for. And she was a child. And he was a man, like, excuse me, he was a man with a 6-figure income. working at SpaceX. Like, and SpaceX wasn't even SpaceX. It was just, we're trying to develop the formulas for antibiotics. It's like, oh, okay, cool. You doing some weird mysticism bullshit. You could get a pill that cures niggas of the cold. Like, that's what that shit was at the time. When you look at it, when you zoom out in the context of history. So that's why I'm like, that's wrong. Because as we know it now, there is literally a formation of the brain that stops happening at a certain age. And when the man is beyond that formation and he's able to reach down and grab somebody not, and then the child, the boy child who is of that same stature, of that same age, of that same brain development, cannot get anybody pregnant because that was also there in that time. I wish you would have been 15 and had premarital sex with somebody and got them pregnant. I wish you were. They were, bro.
Yeah, and again,
Bro.
also to be fair to Devin's point, his initial point, I think it also matters culturally because we're looking at it a very Western lens because, I mean, we were born and raised in America. So it's like, if we were to take the situation and, you know, you had in this olden age scenario we're using here, you know, when someone trades, you know, their, you know, daughter to the Lord in like, you know, feudal Japan, you're fundamentally potentially giving them a better life. You might never ever step into those lands again, but by giving them to a lord, you've actually given them. You basically, it's like essentially say, here's $1 million. You know, you get your life.
Yeah.
Now you might have to live your life as a
concubine.
no. I was specifically avoiding that. It's not a lady. It's the other ones, the ones that would manage the inns, Devin. With the white makeup, a geisha.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Like,
oh yeah, you were very specific on me. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
like that's what I'm saying. Culturally, it also depends on the culture. We're too used to either Bible and or Western cultures, but cultures around the world do not treat that all the same way. However, one thing that is almost consistent across most cultures across the world is that for some reason, children were traded for stuff.
Yeah,
for one reason or another,
which is dangerous because that's still, when we look at these profile cases, this is what these people are doing.
Yeah.
And that's why even Devin, I think it was you who were like, yeah, you talk about Roman culture and blah, blah, blah. Like, they were doing that shit as well. Like, trading their children for perceived upward mobility in certain ways. And it's like, this is dangerous. Because even yet and still, some of the sexual practices and rituals and things like that that people, and I'm not saying rituals like, but just things that people do in commonplace and everything else like that. This is what people are looking to, because there's no reason I would never give my fucking daughter to R. Kelly.
But see, here's the difference there, and this is kind of one of the other points that I was bringing up here, is that nowadays we have the knowledge and clarity that people of the past did not have in regards to that. I would say that even during the time of like R. Kelly and so on and so forth, you should know better. You should know what you're putting your child into, you know, in that kind of situation. Whereas, let's say if we went back a few hundred years, on the other hands, you know, again, you were just thinking of it as a, hey, I'm giving, you know, my child a better life, and you probably were in most cases, you know, at that point, you know, in certain aspects. Let me specify.
Yeah. Okay.
I think is
let me.
Yeah, because I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, let me, you know, before
you know,
I get caught in something, I'm like,
let me clean that up.
Clean that up real quick.
But no, yeah, and I think what it is that people tend to forget, and this is also kind of doubling back to the, you know, Cassie being like 8 months pregnant thing as well, is that as we evolve as a species, our general fight and flight responses are more targeted. And what I mean is that we are not in constant fear of our life. We're not constantly, this ain't Oregon Trail where you have to be prepared to either die of dysentery, die from bear attack, die of food hunger. Like, no, we have more and more solutions to the common problems that even 100 years ago they didn't have. You know, so it's like it's one of those things. It's like it's a running joke about having a shit ton of kids for whatever reasons, but in good old yielding days where these people would trade kids for goats trying to survive. It's like we in the good old 2025 fundamentally know that's fucking wrong. What the fuck are you doing? But in
Mhm.
those days, the lines are blurred because it's a constant fight or flight response. Is it right? Fuck no, it ain't. Is it commonplace? Unfortunately. And what I think in this generation, not generation, but in our modern times, what people are trying to conflate, thinking they're contrarians or something, is this uh, concept of having other people as property. Like we as black
Mhm.
people are still trying to fight slavery after 400 years past of it happening. This whole time period, we're still trying to fight against all the shit that it has caused us to this day. But yet, some of these very people that are thinking, "Oh, I'm for the black man," this, that, and the third, Dr. Umar it up, don't realize that their very actions are continuing to contribute to the very things that we're trying to fight against. And at the end of the day, when you don't learn from the history, you just keep
Repeat it.
fucking up. Go ahead, Caleb.
Mhm.
No, that's where you were talking about rights and perspectives and everything else like that. I've said this before. Um, there is no cap, there is no ceiling for white people moving with the level of unawareness that they move with, the level of disconnection with the surrounding areas whatsoever. Um, and that's I know that that fuels not only where they go politically, where they go geopolitically, as well as where they go socially when it comes to dealing with us, because there is no cap to catch you at the top. If you're a black revolutionary male right now who's like, hey, communism is XYZ, blah, blah, blah. Communism has never failed on itself. It's as a result of invasion, it's as a result of co opting movements, blah, blah, blah. And this is why it fails. White people will do some white people shit that they feel like they're fully justified in because there's no force multiplier to catch you at the top. Period. White women in particular. I have said this before. I will say this again right here because it's recorded and we hear. If I could vote or do something or pass something that would not disproportionately affect women of color, I would take away white women's rights. I know that sounds crazy, but I have seen white women do some of the most ridiculous shit I have ever seen in my life, short of a billionaire or a group of billionaires enacting genocide on people. And it's dangerous because there's no question when they propose something, they're assumed innocent and assumed correct, and everything will move carte blanche for them, period, point blank. And that is very fucking dangerous because the government will support them when their own counterparts don't view them as legitimate individuals. Does that make sense, Shazo?
I mean, you're not wrong. And it just becomes a four times double whammy, you know, super combo modifier when you take that same concept and apply it to black women. Like, because they're black, they don't get the benefit of the doubt. Because they're women, they don't get heard. And then just kind of slap it all together. And this is, again, why it's these situations we're talking about today are just so ridiculous because, like, we as black men, because all three of us are black men, so I'm just going to keep it to us here. It is like, I hate blanket phrases like defund the police.
Mm,
Let me get it all out. Like, I hate the blanket statements, defund the police, believe victims, this, that, and the third, because we're allowing the people that we're fighting against to take the context away. So they counter. with the reverse, and it just seemingly makes sense. I'm using air quotes for audio listeners. Seemingly makes sense, because you immediately say defund the police. They counter with, well, then who's gonna protect you? You say believe victims, and then they're gonna be like, but what if they lying? Like, you make it too, like, those phrases make it far too easy to get caught.
Yeah.
I get the purpose behind them. I'm actually down with the fundamental causes, but we have to find a way to better support the better support people, because we just make it too easy because we're only thinking about the first fight, and that is too simple. Like, it's the again, I go back to the fight or flight response. When immediate danger hits, you think of, all right, do I stand my ground? Do I get the hell out of here? When we have to go beyond that and be like, all right, when I make this move, what they gonna do? It's more of like a boxing match or a straight up, like, chess move in an actual fight. So it's like, again, at least when it comes to these cases, what I've always said is that we have to show proper respect when someone makes an accusation. Now
Absolutely. Absolutely.
that means proper due diligence. That means if you find out some person is lying, all right, bet they lying. But you have to do proper due diligence, which means you do have enough respect to fully investigate the situation. Unfortunately, far too many women, especially black women, get ignored because these people don't actually respect them. They don't care. And this is what all this internet discourse is constantly showing me, that y'all don't like or care about black women. Because if you did, you would have the actual respect to be like, hold up. Even the people that say, you know what, I'm gonna see how this plays out, have fundamentally more respect than, than the people that just jump on in one way or another.
Yeah.
Because to bring a full picture and actually find out the truth of the situation, you need due diligence. And to get due diligence, you have to actually respect the situation at hand. That is always gonna be my belief. Now, will someone fuck up at times? Of course. People, no one is perfect. But if you fundamentally respect and care about something,
Yeah.
you take your time, you take care of it, you look into it, you research, you go beyond just the initial reaction. Which, again, at least for me, it's a matter of, okay, then you do what's right or what the hell you're supposed to.
Yep.
So, in a weird way, this is why the fucking South District of New York has got a 97% ratio, because the moment they find something, all right, we don't be over here watching, waiting for you to fuck up. Oh, he fucked up here, he fucked up here, he fucked up here. I, I don't know. I don't know, man. Like, people are. Oh, Devin, hit me.
So I do want to go and add one quick thing, because I know that some people are going to go and argue like, oh, well, what about cases where, someone's made up a charge or something like that? The only way to truly fix that is to make sure that when something does happen, if there is truly a victim, that we are doing our due diligence. Because once you have that set, that's when you can go around and say, all right, what kind of punishments can we have for false accusations there? But if you haven't set up that initial base, you can't take care of that other problem either. So we need to take care of the bigger problem, which is making sure that victims are heard and that we do our due diligence and actually look through a full case.
Yeah.
I agree. And when we do that, that will also solve the male issue when it comes to dealing with sexual assault from a young age and everything else like that, because all this is a symbiotic relationship. Like, when you believe and respect victims who present evidence, you get protected better. Period, point
Mm-hmm.
blank. If you're trying to go through the legal system, if not, kill somebody, go to prison. You gangster, right? Do something. That's not their perspective. My perspective is this:
Mm.
if somebody does that, takes advantage of you, whoop de whoop, kill them, go to prison. You could be a case study and a good reason that's why a new bill gets passed. Look at you being a generational representative of the legal system, adapting to the pressing matters of the public. But if you don't care about that, shut the fuck up. In my mind, you're a man. Lock the fuck in. Lock the fuck in. And stop bragging about your own fucking rape, trying to misrepresent it as a sexual conquest. You weirdo. Go to therapy.
You need therapy. Sorry, I love that kid. Love that guy. But no, it's funny because I've said this in jest, like as jokes in the past. Like Devin knows what I'm about to insinuate here. But I always said, you know what? We just need some of them brave black people to take the logic white people use and throw it against them in their own court cases so that they fundamentally have to do the same thing. Because they have to fix it in the opposite direction. Because when we use their own stuff and force them to make laws against it, that's the only way, at least in my mind, that it actually gets fixed. Like whatever this nonsense bill Trump is trying to get passed here, if Obama had tried to do that, 10 years ago, they would have shut that down and be like, nope, we don't do kings, we don't do this, we don't do that.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Like I bet you, like I hate to go here sometimes, like I really do, but like I bet you, if more and more of these gun violence, mass murdering, serial killer, like kid park shooting bros, if it had been like a series of like 8 black people back to back to back to back to back that got all this big press, I would have bet you like $5 million that there would have been like 15 million gun laws that got passed through.
Yeah. And that's what drives me directly to the individual where he killed just a random cop for a
Yeah,
cop off duty cop killing his son. And I came from the perspective of, well, I'm not mad at what you did. I just feel like that was ineffective because you didn't find the guy who actually did it. That's where I was coming from. But at the end of the day, their justification oftentimes is the individual fit the description. You fit the description, you pig ass motherfucker. That's what I'm saying. They're not saying this. I'm saying that. You fit the fucking description. And with that being said, may everything be unleashed upon you, bro. Everything.
yeah. For me,
That's me. That's Cal. May your family cry. May your department weep. And may the whole satellite district feel away. Because
listen,
at the end of the day, it's you didn't care about killing a fucking kid. So you think I'm gonna care about a grown man getting killed when he's a fucking lapdog for the state? Protect and serve is the bold print. The state is the fine print. They don't give a
it's
fuck about
it's
us.
not even the fine print; it's the hidden print. It's written in invisible ink. You can't
Exactly.
see that.
Y'all niggas can find a bunch of inmates from New Orleans who escaped. Where are the kids, bitch? Hmm? Where are the kids that get kidnapped and disappeared out of New Orleans all the time? But you can find some inmates. You think we respect that shit, right? You think you're making the community safer? Where are the niggas that kidnap the kids? You
Mhm.
want to do? Cool. Got you. Got you. Heard you. May you rest in peace. Cal said that, not Jay-Z and Dev.
I think to wrap up this crazy ass episode, um, it's it's one of those things I wish we didn't have to talk about things this way or resort to things this way, but this is the world we're just more and more living in. It's like we have to take like we have to take the powers away of people to be ridiculous by fundamentally being ridiculous. And I hate that. I don't the whole civility thing is such nonsense because y'all don't respect civility. So, and again, for you weirdos out here on all these cases defending all these guys slapping up our women, like no offense, but if we treat our own people this way, you think you're going to be able to convince other people to treat our people this way? To be better to our people? Get out of here. That fundamentally makes no sense. With your weird ass Dr. Umar looking bullshit ass context talking out of here.
Dr. Umar looking ass.
I'm sorry. Every time I see one of these comments or see these people talk, all I think of is the fucking Dr. Umar meme where it's just a hat and he's just doing this. Like, I can't. Like, in what world does that make sense?
That's fair. No matters.
Final thoughts, Devin?
No, I've said my piece already.
I know you can keep going over for Cal, but you got any final thoughts?
You, as a man, period, point blank, need to care about protecting women. Not for the sake of it being like, oh, I want a woman to do my nanny work and everything that I don't have to do when I clock out of my 9 to 5. Protect women because you care about protecting people, you bitch ass fucker. Like that's where I'm coming from.
No.
These
Facts.
This is how you're supposed to look at people. My wife is delicate. I wish you would play with me in front of my wife. Well, I wish you would put my wife in front of me rather. It's gonna be a long day. And I guarantee you will not walk in your house the same way you walked out.
Hey, bro. My wife ain't delicate at all. And don't do it. Trust me. Don't do it. Because
Um,
after I two-piece you, she's going to hit you with the combo. Don't do it.
And I don't have a wife, but if either of these two guys ever said that you did something to their wives, I'm coming over next. So,
and it's always, and my last thing will always be rooted in love. Hey, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, if you're loving and protecting women, giving a fuck about your family, caring about your community, you're doing the right thing despite what anybody tells you. Because
Big
at the end
facts.
of the day, sometimes we have to grow trees we will never see the shade from.
That's a bar.
And
yes.
that's the responsibility of a man sometimes. You just have to do good for doing good's sake. And that's fine. Who cares if you get remembered? You did good.
And to add on to that, stop doing things just to look impressive to other men. Like he said like an hour ago. That's just weird, bro.
That's not what I said. That shit's gay. It's gay.
That's what he said.
It's gay.
Again, I just said that's weird. But
You're
yes.
looking for approval from dicks. That's gay. It is what it is. If you are gay, ain't nobody mad at you. But you niggas who act straight, who look for approval from dicks, you're gay, bro. You're gay. You like a little you like a little extra protein powder or a little protein sauce rather.
I
You
can't. I tried to hold that with it. I can't.
just make sure you swallow with your eyes closed. You can imagine you're somewhere else.
Hey, yo.
That's
Hey, yo. All right. Well, to wrap this up, let's just hit him with the quote of the night. Ironically, this quote comes from one of the most ridiculous internet men on the planet. But when I was listening to a video he was in the other day, I was like, this is too appropriate for this episode because this is fundamentally what people need to learn. So, to end you with the quote of the night, I hope the example that wakes you up does not hurt you bad enough so that you can't succeed. Gilbert Arenas. And if you don't know who that is, go do some Googling because that is wild. That this man of all people said that. I've been your boy John.
Dev.
scowl.
Be good people. Peace.